Sights and Sounds of Historic Berks on BCTV is supported by the Berks Heritage Council.
Good evening and welcome to Sights and Sounds of Historic Berks County. I'm your host, Amanda Matchick, and tonight I'm joined by Bradley Smith of the Berks History Center and Becky Hughes from Friends of Hopewell Furnace and the Daniel Boone Homestead. And Becky is also the secretary for the Berks Heritage Council, so she's going to be talking about a few other sites as well and their upcoming programs and events. But we're going to start with Brad. Good evening and thanks for joining me again. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, good. So, Brad, give us just a little bit of background on the Berks History Center, and then I think there's one particular program that you were going to talk to us about tonight.
That's correct. Sure. Yes. So the Berks History Center for many years was known as the Historical Society of Berks County. And that's something that creates a little bit of confusion because the name change happened about 10 years ago. And quite often I'll be out in the community and I say I'm with the Berks History Center. People look confused, and then I say the Historical Society, and then they recognize that and say, oh, yes, of course. But we're still legally the Historical Society of Berks County, technically doing business as the Berks
Okay.
History Center. The feeling was that, and this is actually sort of a national trend, that the term Historical Society is thought to be a little bit stuffy, and Historical Society is not a term that people think of fun and engaging. They think of a little more quiet and a place where you have to be sort of reserved, like in a library. And
Yeah.
it's a little more dynamic than that. And that's part of the
Yes,
motivation for the name
totally.
change.
Totally.
So, but we've been around a very long time, and that's something that maybe people don't realize. The Historical Society first began in 1869. So we've been around over 150 years. In fact, we had our 150th anniversary celebration a few years ago now. So it's really a long, long run, and being a part of an organization with so much history is a blessing and a curse. Some people have maybe heard me in different programs I've given talk about the fact that we were collecting artifacts and documents in the 1890s already. So 130 years ago, before people thought of antiques as something to make money off of, we were just collecting artifacts and getting them directly from people who had grandparents alive in the 1700s and people who were alive in the early 1800s were giving us artifacts. So it really is a neat place to work because of that. And we've been in our current location since 1929 on Center Avenue at sort of the north edge of the city, very close to Charles Evans Cemetery and close to the Reading Phillies Stadium. So if people are familiar with either of those landmarks, we're in that neighborhood. And the building is actually really, it's a great building. The building itself is almost 100 years old, even though it's the third permanent home that we've had as an organization. And for me, it's really neat to work at the Berks History Center because so much of my own family's history is preserved in the collection. And I've even told people, and this is a true fact, that when they built the building in 1928, they thought it would be neat to take some old Berks County tombstones and incorporate them into the foundation wall. And one of those tombstones belonged to my great times 8 grandfather, Abraham Levan of Oley.
How cool. So, what was the building built for originally? It was built to house the Historical Society, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Okay.
there are other old historical societies out there, but I'm not sure if there are too many that have a building erected specifically as a historical society that is as
Yes.
old as ours is.
I was wondering that. I was wondering that.
And being an old building, there are challenges inherent with that as well. And we are always dealing with some sort of maintenance problem as
Yeah.
well. But at the same time, that old adage, they don't make them like they used to, is so true for our building. It is like a fortress. You could drive a tank on the floors of our building. It is so sturdy, and the architecture is really neat, sort of a colonial revival. And
Okay.
and while it might look sort of like an old post office at first glance, it really has some great architecture on the interior, and it's a great place to work and to visit, in my opinion.
It is definitely a neat building, that's for sure.
So, but one of the things that's been interesting, and one of the things I wanted to talk about today, is the fact that we have a long tradition of history related programming,
Mhm.
and one of our longest running history programs is something we call Second Saturday. So every second Saturday of the month at 10 a.m., we'll have a lecture that focuses on some topic in Berks County history. And this has been a long running program, and it's a lot of fun because there really is so much rich history for Berks County, and a lot of people out there who have expertise in different areas. So whether you're interested in the Civil War or early Pennsylvania German settlers or Victorian clothing, we have had speakers with expertise in those diverse topics. So we have a little bit of everything. And I've always said that if you don't like the program of one month, chances are in the following months, there'll be something that piques your interest. One of the things that was interesting for us as an organization is when COVID hit, that kind of threw a curveball into our Second Saturday program. And we dabbled a little bit with the idea of virtual programming where
Mhm.
we have the lecture, but instead of having everyone gathered in our auditorium, it's done on a computer in much the same way we're talking this
Mhm.
evening. However, I would say we had a little bit of success with that, but it wasn't an overwhelming success. We had a few
Okay.
virtual programs like that, and we would maybe get 20 people attending, which is considerably less than our typical second Saturday attendance, which is more close to about 50. So, at any rate, so fast forwarding, COVID kind of becomes less of a concern. We start having our in-person programs again, and it took a little bit of time to get that momentum back up and going after about 2 years hiatus, but they've now been really doing great. We've been having some great programs. 2023 has been just a lot of fun from a programming perspective because we've had some really great speakers joining us. But the one thing I want to talk about today is, so our January 2nd Saturday program is one that I'm delivering, and it's on the story of Bodo Otto, who was a Revolutionary War surgeon who lived in Reading, Pennsylvania. And what's interesting about this is, yep, there's Bodo, a portrait of Bodo Otto on your screen now. What's interesting about this is that Bodo Otto, as a historical figure, is very well known and very much celebrated by his descendants who have a Bodo Otto family association.
Hmm.
This past summer, we had sort of a reunion group of the family association come to the Berks History Center, and I presented a program on Bodo Otto for them. And they really enjoyed it, but because they are literally all over the world, only a small handful could come and see it. So I got the idea that we could do Bodo Otto as our second Saturday program, but I thought, wouldn't it be neat if I presented to our typical second Saturday audience in the auditorium, while simultaneously presenting it as a virtual program to anyone in the world of the internet, including all those dozens and dozens of Photo Auto Family Association members who are all over the world. So for this January 13th, when we have our Photo Auto program, that will be the first time ever in our history where we've attempted to do a program simultaneously for an in-person audience and a virtual audience. And I'm very excited about this. I'm slightly nervous that there's going to be a technical glitch,
Yeah,
but we're doing a lot of practicing,
okay.
and I think we're going to be okay. But I'm really excited about just the opportunity to reach that kind of audience, because with virtual programs, you have the benefit of being able to reach a broad audience. But there are some people that just really prefer the in-person interaction.
Mhm.
And
For
also
sure.
some people that just, they're disinclined to enroll in a virtual program. So we're hoping that we'll really be able to present and provide the best of both worlds with this program. The
Now,
benefits of virtual.
will you be able to tell then how many people tuned in virtually?
Correct, yes.
Oh, wow.
And
And will
we
it
have
tell
it
you
set
like
up.
their location, like where they're from, or like at least country or anything like that, or not
Well,
really?
actually, yes, because the way we have it set up on our website, berkshistory.org, is you can enroll. And when you enroll, there's some basic registration information you have to give.
Okay.
And there's a small fee for it. Under $10, whether if it's, I believe, $7 if you're a non-member and $5 if you're a member. It's either $7 or $8 for non-members. So it's under $10 for everybody. And then when you register, we can see who's registered in advance, and then they will get, for registering, the link to the Zoom webinar meeting.
Wow, very cool. Very cool. Well,
So,
I
yeah.
certainly hope you guys have a good turnout both in person and
Thanks.
virtually.
Yeah, us
That's
too.
really
And it's
cool.
such a great story as well. I really,
Okay.
I don't often do this, but I really, I don't want to say I get choked up, but I get moved by the things that Bodo Otto did and his selflessness. Just for example, he was in his mid-60s when the Revolutionary War broke out, and he could have easily said, "I'm too old for this," but he didn't. He got involved without even a second thought, and it exposed to some pretty dangerous situations. Because one of the things we'll talk about in the program is being a Revolutionary War surgeon meant you were exposed to all kinds of illness.
Yep.
So it was actually just as dangerous to be in a hospital as it was on the front lines. But then there's another story where there was so many troubles with getting staff paid. There's a strong suspicion that Bodo Otto paid his staff with his own money because they were just waiting too long to get paid by the early Continental Congress.
Yes.
So many interesting things about him. I'm really, really excited to share more with the audience in January.
Yeah. Wow, that does sound really cool. And again, you said that is Saturday, January 13th at 10?
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. Well, we will switch on over to Becky, and then if we have any time, maybe we can come back, Brad. But
Sounds good.
we'll let Becky start, because I know she's going to share some things from a few Berks Heritage Council member sites, in addition to Hopewell and the Daniel Boone Homestead. So, hi, Becky. How are you tonight?
Hi. So, I thought I would tell you a little bit about the history of the Heritage Council.
Oh,
to
yes,
start with.
that too, of course. Yes.
So, the Berks County Heritage Council, for those that don't know, is comprised of it's about 50 museums, I think. In all within Berks County. Berks County actually has more museums than are in the council, but those in the council, we have about 50 museums. So we have museums that cover any topic you could imagine. So covered bridges, canals, mills, caves, iron furnaces. Then there's a couple that are sites like Daniel Boone or the John Updike House or the Conrad Weiser Homestead that have to do with specific people. Or you can learn about railroads, historic cars, firefighting, any kind of history you can think of. We have a museum in Berks County for it.
This is definitely probably true.
That's
Pretty
quite
true.
And if you want to learn about all of these things, go to the Berks History Center because they have a little of everything.
Correct.
But the council was formed in about, we think, 1984.
Mhm.
So it's going to be about 40 years old next year, somewhere around there. So it's been around for a while. It was formed as a group so that different museums could collaborate and work together in different things. So as the Berks County Heritage Council in general, we are looking to hopefully have a history day in April. So that'll be something to look forward to at the Nicholas Stoltz Foos House, April 13th. But we do have a couple of our museums have some upcoming events in January. So Amanda has some pictures that she's gonna put up. Or a poster. I think we
Let's
have
see.
some of each.
All right. Well, here we go. Let's see.
All
Is that
right.
Daniel Boone? Sorry,
Okay.
I just.
The Daniel Boone Homestead out in Exeter Township has we've been trying to do some little programs there as well as doing our big festivals and events. So in January, we are going to continue with our sewing circle that we do once a month. So it'll be the 6th of January at 10 o'clock. Anybody's welcome to come to it. And then we are continuing with a story time that we do for preschool age kids. That'll be on the 5th, which is a Friday at 11 a.m. And then we have been doing a dog walk once a month on a Sunday. We did it this past Sunday.
Sorry, Becky. Becky, I think you cut out there for a minute. Could you just, well, not even a minute, but.
Okay.
Maybe it's me. I don't know. I don't know. But sorry, go ahead.
Okay. So we are doing a dog walk on the 21st of January at Daniel Boone Homestead. So you can bring your friendly dog and walk along with us. And we walk with the trails for about an hour or so. And then I think there's another picture that you have.
I have one for Hopewell.
Yep. All right. So Hopewell.
Let's do Hopewell. There we go.
All right. So Hopewell Furnace, which is in not too far from Daniel Boone Homestead, actually. It's in Birdsboro or Elverson. It's considered Elverson. It's on 345 right next to French Creek State Park.
Yes. Okay.
So they have the Friends of Hopewell have a second Sunday program. And their topic for January would be explore the Pennsylvania Highlands and Hopewell Bigwoods. It's a long title. That's what they're doing in January. It's by Danielle Putman, I believe. I think that's the person who's coming to do it. And then we have one other poster for one other site. The Kutztown Folk Festival has some upcoming classes.
Oh my, yeah, look at all that.
So if you're interested in quilting classes, you can go. They have I posted this on our Facebook page, so you can check it out there, or you can just go to the Kutztown Folk Festival's website, and it should come up that you can see how to register for them. But I guess they have one on quilted barn information, how to build a quilt, color and stitch quilt class. So they have a couple different classes coming up in January. So if you want to sign up for them, I guess you should go on their site soon and sign up, because I'm guessing they fill up pretty quick.
Yeah, it looks like it says kutztownfolkfestival.thundertix.com.
Okay.
But and they also have that QR code, which I bet you could probably scan for if you pull it up on on our Facebook page or whatever, it'd probably take you right to it.
Yeah, so the Berks County Heritage Council also has a website, berkscountyheritagecouncil.org, and we also have a Facebook page. So we try to post different things for different museums on our sites and our website as well. So you can check out what all these 50 different museums that we have in Berks County are up to.
Yeah, and obviously one of the perks of membership is coming on the our BCTV show.
Right.
And I believe we have a brochure, a rack card that we're in the process of redoing. And there's other, I guess, perks to membership as well.
Yeah.
We have our I guess now quarterly member meetings.
Mhm.
But Brad is the newly elected president and Becky is the secretary and I'm the former president. So we, between the three of us, we could talk about the Heritage Council for a while, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely it's a really neat organization, I think, and really tries to promote the history of the county, and even of more broadly Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so if there's anybody out there that has a small museum that they started that hasn't happened to be a member and you want to join, just check us out. And we're always looking for new members.
Yeah, if people want to join, I guess the best way, we do have an email address.
The Berks County Heritage Council at gmail.com.
Right, Berks County Heritage. I'm sorry, say it again.
The Berks County Heritage Council at Gmail.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I would assume maybe they could also reach out through our Facebook page.
Yeah,
because I think you now kind of monitor that, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, occasionally we have workshops or like information kind of informal sessions at some of our meetings. And it's just a great time to kind of share ideas. I'm kind of selfishly looking to Brad here to see how this dual virtual in-person programming goes, because it's certainly something that has a lot of potential, I think, for some other historic sites to maybe learn from. So I hope maybe you can report on that at our next meeting.
Yeah.
So maybe we can learn from your hopefully successes and not your mistakes. But either way, we can learn from it. So
well, Amanda, you make a very good point there. And you highlight something that I really appreciate about the Heritage Council is that when you bring people from 40 different museums together in the same room, chances are there's somebody in that room who has experience with something that you want to try or that you're grappling with. So if you think, oh my goodness, we're having a problem with flooding in our artifact storage room, there's going to be someone in that room, probably 3 people in that room, who have had the same problem and overcome it. So there's sort of a synergy when you bring all those museum folks together, and just sort of a collaborative spirit that I really appreciate. And especially because museums in general tend to be under-resourced. So this is a way that we can sort of help compensate for that by pooling our expertise collectively and even our resources collectively. I don't know that that's happened too much, but in theory, if someone has an emergency need for a HEPA filtered vacuum cleaner, which we use for cleaning artifacts, chances are one of us would have one that we could lend to someone else. So it's the networking and collaboration potential of the Heritage Council is so great. That's what I appreciate the most about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes, and I'm sure we've been known to share items and supplies over the years, like you mentioned. So if you don't have it, likely somebody else does and is willing to help you out with it. So that's always great. Becky, was there anything else that you wanted to add about any of the sites that you had mentioned, or the Heritage Council itself? Because I know we are slowly winding down here, with just a few more minutes to go.
I don't think there's anything else other than, to just look forward to our program in April, where we'll all be at the same site, and you can check out a whole bunch of sites and see what's in Berks County at the same time.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's something that I don't think the Heritage Council has ever done before. And so, I mean, I think if I'm understanding correctly, we're hoping to have maybe some music and some food. And then as many of our member sites attend as possible. And I think the expectation is for them to provide some sort of easy and quick activity or craft or something like that for people to do as they visit all the tables and booths. And obviously we hope for good weather. I guess April can be a little iffy, but my understanding is that the Stoltz Foods Homestead has some indoor space available. So
Yeah.
I think that was one of the perks to having it there, is that we should have a pretty solid backup plan if the weather does go south on us. So
Yeah.
and again, that is this Saturday, right? Saturday, April 13th.
April 13th. Yep.
And was there a time on it yet?
I don't think we had established a specific time yet.
Okay. All right, but definitely look for that. Hopefully in the coming months. And again, that information can be found on our website, and also probably on our Facebook page. And I would hope too, all the participating members that are going to be there will also probably be advertising it and marketing on their social media pages and website and things like that. So hopefully one way or another you'll get the details.
We'll get it. We'll get it to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, Brad, was there anything else that you wanted to add before we sign off for the evening? Either about the council or about the History Center?
I think the only other thing maybe I'd add is I'm really looking forward to our April event. And I really think that what will happen is the general public, when they come, I am almost certain they will be walking around thinking, I never knew Berks County had this museum. I never knew Berks County had that museum. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and hoping we have a good turnout for it.
And it's nice. I think we picked a good time of year because in April, I mean, yes, sites and museums might have a couple of events before that, but I mean, really, your season kind of kicks off right around that time. So, I mean, I know for Boone and Hopewell, and the History Center too, I'm sure looking to really promote the rest of their calendar for the year, for all of their, remaining events and programs. So that should hopefully be great. And then visitors can decide what fun things they want to do for the rest of the year.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you both so much for joining me tonight. It's always fun to have you guys on, and it was nice to hear a little bit more about the council, and get a little background about that. And again, to hear about some of this new dual virtual in-person programming from the Berks History Center and Brad. So thank you both so much, and we will see you again in the new year. Thanks and good night.
Sights and Sounds of Historic Berks on BCTV is supported by the Berks Heritage Council.